Hi, I'm Mr. Fisher, Spanish teacher here at West Potomac High School, and Jorge Garcia is my student.
And I'm interviewing him for the violation of human rights in Colombia. And I have some questions for him. First question is, what are unions?
Unions are organizations that exist around the world, and they only exist, as far as I know, in terms of in a workplace. Unions are organizations in which the workers in a workplace will work together collectively to get the benefits that they feel they are entitled to. For the most part, what they do, they try and get conditions to be as much as agreeable for them. Say working in a factory in which they'll have access to bathroom breaks, better wages, health care, some of the things that in the United States we don't really consider ourselves to have to be victims of, but in other countries they're big issues. So unions are something that are, in my opinion, some of the most democratic organizations the world over. But again, in the United States we don't hear a whole lot about them, or unfortunately when we do hear about them, we usually hear how they operate in terms of like in a negative sense almost.
Oh, okay, good. Second question is, do you know what the situation is in Colombia right now?
I don't know specifically what is happening in terms of union organizing at every level of the Colombian economy. What I am aware of, and I've been aware of this for a while now, is that there are some of the most prominent U.S. corporations. They're called multinationals, something like either Coca-Cola or Ford or IBM. What I know that Coca-Cola has done, because I read newspapers in Spanish, is that they have actively pursued individuals who are trying to organize unions in some of the bottling plants within Colombia.
Okay. And third and final question is, can you explain how this is violating their human rights?
Okay, one of the things that I was mentioning before is that unions, what they'll do, again, without getting into too prolonged and boring of a political ideology or a political discussion, basically, thank you, what individuals have to have access to, and again, in terms of what we call the Western world, or the free world, the democratic world, all democratic countries, of which Colombia is considered to be absolutely a democratic society. It has a president that it votes into power, I think it's every 7 years. It has a Congress, it has representative democracy, much like what we have in the United States. But one of the things that I would say that is absolutely an essential human right to individuals is their ability to form a bargaining process in which where they are not only in their free life, like whether I get to whatever choose to drive a car and therefore I need to get a license, and that's something that will be regulated by the government, but also the way in which we earn our money, and that the majority of people in any society are going to have to work for their money, and then in those places of work where they are at, to be able to say, these are just, you can't have us work under these conditions. And that's what, again, why unions for the most part exist, to be able to say, look, we need to get, I need to be able to have a living wage, I need to only work 8 hours a day, instead of, say a boss saying to me, no, you have to work 12 hours a day. I could work 12 hours a day, but you have to pay me those 4 hours extra that I'll work, whatever, overtime or time and a half. So for me, they are a fundamental aspect of human rights. And your question, I think, was how do they violate human rights in Colombia? What I know is happening with the government of Colombia, the president of Colombia, whose name is Álvaro Uribe, is somebody who has basically been associated a large amount with paramilitary groups that are from the right, very conservative. Colombia has got a really, really bad track record in terms of a guerrilla war that's been going on for 40 plus years. But in terms of what the government does, the government basically turns a blind eye, or as they say in Spanish, le hace la vista gorda, where they don't look at things that are happening in terms of Coca-Cola has gone after individuals. So like, I know that Jorge Garcia is in this bottling company, and he's one of my workers here. He is trying to make a union, and the union will basically be able to demand that Coca-Cola start paying the workers more and more, whereby Coca-Cola will start earning less money. In other words, the company in total will start, let's say, instead of making $50 million a year, they'll be making maybe $20 million a year, or $25 million a year. Well, some human beings, and I say some because I think the great majority of human beings are good, but some human beings, being as incredibly stingy and greedy as they are, will go to some horrible lengths to make sure that they continue to make those extra $20, $25 million. And as a result, Jorge Garcia might end up disappearing one day, only to be found months later in a ditch with his face down and having been decomposed for the last couple months.
Okay.
For all
Thanks,
members of the
Mr. Fisher and
Leadership
Jorge
Coalition,
Garcia.
we are having
Thank
our
you.
final meeting, which is a party